Okay, and we are live. I am super excited for tonight. My name is Dr. Chad Kuntz. I'll be your host. I'm a sports physical therapist and founder and owner of Prime Movement. You know, I'm really excited about tonight because it's not too often that we are actually able to collect a lot of great video footage of someone from point A to point B in their process. It just kind of happened to work out with this guy. And on top of that, he is totally okay with us sharing all the information because he's just kind of so grateful of where he's at. So you'll meet Cordy here in a second. And thank you so much again, Cordy. Special shout out to you for letting us use your information and video footage to kind of show people what we do. Because one thing that we really struggle with is telling people what we do and how we can help. So this is a great opportunity. So let's kind of just jump into it. So again, we're Prime Movement Physical Therapy. And if you don't take anything else away from tonight, what I want you to know is that we dig deep to find the root cause of the pain. And that's what we did with Cordy. We knew that he had a partial rotator cuff tear. He had range of motion limitations, but we dug deep to figure out how are we going to get you from point A to point B. And we'll kind of share with you some of the goals he had and the problems he had when he first came to see us. So let's go ahead and meet Cordy. So Cordy, these are some of the main problems that he was facing. I basically took all this information right from all the notes we had and put it right down here for you. So he had been dealing with stabbing, shoulder, and rotator cuff pain for about 3 months. But if he thinks back, he remembers his shoulder getting tighter and tighter and kind of sending him messages he just wasn't quite listening to until it got really, really painful. He'd been seeing a chiropractor for about 6 weeks. He really wasn't getting better. He thought he was. But when we sat down and talked to him, he goes, you know what, I really don't think it was helping all that much, because he was still having shoulder pain at night. And we know how frustrating that can be to wake up, have that pain when you're sleeping. And that was one of his main goals too. You know, he works on cars. He's worked on cars all his life for about 41 years now. He was starting to have some real range of motion issues. I'm sure some of you can relate, even if you have frozen shoulder problems or rotator cuff tears as well, for those of you who are listening and watching, or heck, some of you even had a rotator cuff surgery or shoulder surgery and still struggling with some of these main problems. You know, he had pointed out to us he was kind of sedentary for the past 10 years, but he had done exercises previously with a trainer, which he's hoping to kind of get back to doing. So some of the main goals for Cordy was to get back with a full range of motion. Obviously, you want to be able to sleep pain-free, and he needs to be able to keep working. He knows how important that is for him to be able to keep working, finish strong. And these were also 3 of the most important things for Cordy to accomplish with our help. It was an absolute must for him to avoid surgery. He knows how ruthless some of these surgeries can be. Again, some of you are watching this right now and going, I know, I've been through that process. It's really tough. It's a really long road. And not to mention, when you have surgery, you're going to be away from work as it is, and then still need to go through some type of movement, physical therapy, or chiropractic, or healthcare practice as it is. So it made sense to him. Why don't I just try this conservative, non-steroidal, non-surgical route now and see if it can, do this for me. See if it can help me accomplish my goals. He also felt like his body was breaking down. He's the kind of person that wants to enjoy his life. He doesn't want to just kind of get by. He's worked almost all his life. He's got his golden years coming up. He wants to be able to enjoy it. If he wants to pick up his grandkids, throw a ball, or just work around the house, keep working, whatever, right? You shouldn't have to worry about being held back just because of his shoulder. And he also wanted a program that would help him bulletproof his body for the rest of his life. And that's really something we specialize in. We can give you, and I'll show you a little bit later, we can give you a workout sheet. We can give you customized videos to those workouts that are all customized based upon where you're at. We want to meet you where you're at. So if you've been sedentary, create a program for that. If you're a master's elite level athlete, but you need a certain level of help on a higher performance thing, we can help you with that too. So it just kind of depends where you're at with that. So those are a few of his goals. Let me just take a step back. So to remind you guys, this took work, right? This took about 5 months. We didn't see him every week, but probably pretty close to that. And he has made significant progress, but it didn't happen overnight. He didn't have any corticosteroids or pain pills throughout this process, which we really pride ourselves on. But let's go ahead and show you kind of what we saw starting from the very first visit and how we helped get him back to 100%. And I'm going to show you literally live footage of what we took when we recorded, I should say, on that very first assessment. We take footage of almost everyone anyways because we want to show you what the problem was. But what we noticed is he had bad impingement, he had a weak rotator cuff, and he was having some significant compensations. So let's go ahead and take a look with that. And by the way, this is kind of something you would receive as well if you feel like we're a good fit. We'll record you, slow it down, and then educate and show you how you're moving improperly and what you could do better. So you could see his right arm was kind of out to the side. He's shrugging more on that right side compared to the left. And that to me already suggests he's probably getting some level of impingement. You can see he just doesn't go any higher there at the top. And that's where he's getting that same sharp and stabbing pain that he was having. And we see that he's already dealing with not only the pain, but just compensations. Upper traps are compensating for him. And then this is also what we saw when we asked him to do it thumbs pointed up. So most of you are like, wow, I don't really move like that. And you can test this out on your own right now when you're watching. Thumbs up is always a little bit more of a natural movement. But even with that, we saw some compensations. And just to keep in mind, this is just a couple of the assessments that we saw with him on the first day. So his right shoulder is already a little bit more elevated. You can see this with those who have impingement, frozen shoulder syndrome, partial rotator cuff tear, or just overall guarding. I tend to find that the anterior delt and the bicep is working too hard when you've had pain in the shoulder for a little while now. So I'm measuring this out, and I had recorded it for him on that day. He's only at about 150 degrees of shoulder flexion there, and he's dealing with a lot of pain to get there. I'd like to see it get closer to about 165. I think that's a pretty good number. More than that would be great too, but that also requires good thoracic and extension moment through the mid-back. But just look at the asymmetry there as he comes down too. So as you slow things down, which I love, you can really see those kind of ugly impairments stand out. So what about the shoulder blades? If you've had shoulder pain, and if your shoulder blade has not been assessed, you've really missed out. Okay, the shoulder blade is a huge pivotal role, plays a huge role in how your shoulder is doing. In fact, it should account for about 2/3 of your total range of motion overhead. So if you've only had this part looked at, you've missed out on 66% or more of the entire process. And you can see with him here, especially he goes out to the side, look at that. So he's compensating with his upper trap, his levator scap, his serratus anterior is not firing well, his rotator cuff is weak. And look at that difference there. And that was kind of the range of motion impairment that he was talking about. And here's why it's so important that you get the root cause worked on and addressed. So these are the 3 dangers if you don't address the root cause. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you this is what happens. The first one is that you can have a really bad rotator cuff tear, usually the supraspinatus, especially if you already have a partial tear. You really want to avoid that. You could have really nasty arthritic changes, particularly at the AC joint or the glenoid. And then you could also have a slap tear, which is a tear in the labrum. For those of you that don't know what a labrum is, it just kind of holds the shoulder in place, kind of a negative suction cup, and it kind of keeps it right there. And if that tears, this kind of moves a lot easier, the shoulder joint itself. So this becomes a lot more hypermobile if that tears, and then this will slide up. Okay, and then that's when you get the rotator cuff tear, and that's what this is resembled by right here. So you get the rotator cuff there that sits right on the top, and it's so important to keep that shoulder down instead of letting that glenoid shoot up. Okay, so that's pretty much all of what we saw just on the first assessment. Let's go ahead and show you some of the hands-on treatments that we do. You might notice they're pretty unique, untraditional, borderline unorthodox, but we know that it works. And we know that these are proven techniques, and these are just a sample of them that we use. We'll customize it based upon what you need. So if we have to go more intense, because you're a big, tight, stiff guy, we'll do it. If you like you're a older, younger male or female, and you're, just sensitive, we'll lighten up. So we'll kind of customize these based upon what you need. So I was mentioning earlier that the biceps and the anterior delt can get super tight and compensated or compensatory. So what I'm doing here is I'm loosening up the biceps and the anterior delt, kind of a deep tissue massage, as I'm lifting his arm overhead, as I'm pushing the humerus down to avoid any impingement. to help really teach his body how to get overhead as we're stretching at the same time. This is just a sample of a technique to kind of open up the shoulder joint here. We're trying to gap that spot right there. Really nice for those who have arthritis or just inflammation or bursitis in the shoulder. And you can see I'm kind of pulling it out. He felt a really big stretch there. I use these things called Maitland belts. Those are the blue belts that you'll be seeing. And this is a really nice technique to help loosen up the nerves and the cardiovascular system. I think sometimes we forget that all this tissue has to stretch out in addition to the muscles. It's not always about the muscles. It's about the nervous system. He even felt like a little tingling. His hand got a little cold just because the cardiovascular system wasn't used to stretching out that much. And then this is a really nice technique where I'm teaching him how to reach overhead. I'm providing him a little stability. And it's so important that we teach your nervous system and brain that it's okay to reach all the way overhead. We get fearful. I'm sure some of you that are listening and watching in can relate. If you've had pain in the shoulder for a long time, when you reach overhead, it's almost like your brain speaks to you. It's like, oh my gosh, this is going to hurt, right? And so what we really want to do is help calm down the nervous system and teach you confidence with some of these techniques as you're lifting overhead. I don't want you to expect pain, I guess is what I'm saying. I want to work with you. I want you to feel comfortable and confident and secure that when you're reaching overhead, nothing's going to tear. Because even a part of your brain feels like something's going to tear, I can tell you right now, you're not going to be too willing to reach overhead. So we do a lot of those techniques too, just to help with the brain's comfort level. That you can do it, you can do this, you can reach overhead, and your body's kind of working together again. This is also a unique stretch that we do. So we are targeting the lats. They're a big, broad muscle that extends from the humerus all the way down to the back. But we like using these heavy-duty bands on occasion because they literally kind of pull that joint down and out. And you get some nice separation right in there. And that can feel really good, again, for someone who's been dealing with a rotator cuff tear, who's been dealing with arthritis, the joint's just genuinely unhappy. So we'll do heavy-duty bands. A lot of people haven't tried those type of stretches that we do. And you'll even get to a nice stretch in your upper and middle back with that last one. So as you can see here, this is how we utilize our home workout sheet for you. You will almost never, unless you request it, be given a piece of paper with exercises on it. In fact, what you'll see here, you can see those yellow links. So that's our own private cloud-based server. You can just click on that, and that'll actually go to me recording you in the clinic doing those exercises. So you can remember exactly how you did it from day one. And we have people that will still reference that 6 months, a year, 2 years from when they last came in, because they remember that's what helped them. And they can kind of solve their own problem when they ever have this problem again, if it should come up. You know, maybe you get lazy and you don't want to do your workouts again and it starts hurting. Like, oh yeah, what was that I did with Dr. Kuntz over there? Oh yeah, that's right. Let me go to my Excel sheet, click on that, and boom, you have obviously full authority to go through that because those exercises are yours forever, which is pretty cool. And I should also say on that, everyone thinks differently. I could have 100 people in there doing the same exercise, and each and every one of you might think about that movement in a different way. That reminds you of a different way to work on your different compensations that each and every one of you might do. So a customized video, I don't think anything gets better than that. So that's why we use that. After we loosened up his shoulder, we did the deep tissue massage, we stretched him out, we decreased his pain. Now it's time to get strong. I can't tell you how important that is. It's so underestimated in the healthcare world, and it's so often the missing link to help you stay pain-free. This is an example of a bottom-up kettlebell walk. He got up to 30 pounds here. He couldn't even hold his arm in that position at first. So he worked hard to get up into that. You could see just how much stability is required. He's walking, he's using his core, he's working. This was a really good, big functional workout we did with him. And then this is just an example or examples of some untraditional, unorthodox exercises. We worked hard with this. He had good soreness in the shoulder, but it was just that good workout soreness. And I'm telling you right now, you're probably going to need more than I's, Y's, and T's with the pulley system, with the UBE to get you back. It's going to take customized workout programs and consistency and dedication on your end to get to where you want to be and to stay there, so you don't have to worry that anything is going to come back, re-tear, or like all the progress you just made is gone. That's the last thing we want. We kind of think about this analogy like we're shooting for the moon in our particular practice with you. At the moon, you're there, you're good, you're stationed, you don't ever have to worry about coming back. You've achieved your goal, okay? You've landed, and you've got all the resources you need. Most healthcare programs are just trying to get you to the clouds where pain relief is. We'll call that pain relief, okay? But you might just hang up there for a little bit, and then you come back down to earth, gravity hits you, and then you have pain again. So understand this, we want you to be committed, because we can help you get pain relief pretty quick, but we want you to be committed to really go to that next step. Let's keep pushing. All right, sometimes it's difficult when you don't have that same painful stimulus. You don't really want to do your exercises anymore. You're like, all right, I'm good, I don't have that pain. But we strongly encourage you, keep working, keep digging, get into that workout program. You won't regret it. We actually had someone the other day who came back that had some pain again, and I said, have you been doing that strengthening program? And they said, no, I got too busy. I really wish I would have done that. So keep that in mind, should you feel like we're a good fit to work with. And for those of you that have hung around here, I want to just kind of give you that offer if you're interested. And you know what? And if you say that model makes sense, I like what he's saying, this seems different, we'd love to have an opportunity to work with you and serve you. And I just want you guys to know, I have this kind of quote down here. The one thing you should take away is that we genuinely, really, really care. If nothing else, we really, really care. And we want to be that end game solution for you. You don't have to get any more corticosteroids. You don't have to worry about surgery. We can just knock this out once and for all. So we're going to go ahead and bring down our cost to $49 for you, full hour, to really understand what your story is. This is a deal, an offer that's good for you, whether you're catching this live right now or if you're catching this on replay. We're happy to extend this offer for you. For those of you that are watching this live or even on replay, feel free to share it to anyone else that you feel like could be helpful for. Each and every appointment with us is a full hour. We really want to get to know you and your story, understand your history of injuries, understand who you are, what your belief system is, and maybe even most importantly, what are your goals? If I have someone who wants to get back to competitive tennis at the age of 70, and that serve is really important for them, versus that same 70-year-old who just wants to pick something up overhead, well, we're going to have to create a much different program for you. But that could be said of any of your goals. If you want to get back to doing push-ups or just working out, great. You name it. We're going to customize this assessment based upon what your needs are. So that video footage you saw earlier, Cordy, we can change what we feel like we need to record depending on what your goals are. We'll still look at your strength. We'll look at your joints. We'll look at how you move functionally. That's one of the biggest emphases that we do on that first visit. We'll start to teach you some do's and don'ts. Education is really important to us. If you want to check out some more information, go check us out at primemovement.com. You can also give us a call. You can actually text this number too, 704-835-0831. Or if you want to check out more content, if you're still not sure about us, check us out on Google. All right, I've got some strong reviews. You can read through the testimonials there. Or you can check out our social media like Facebook and Instagram. We're constantly posting there all the time. And if this feels like a good fit, understand we're going to want to get on the phone with you first. We want to jumpstart and accelerate that first visit to help you understand and feel a difference before you even leave. That's really important to us, that you can feel a difference. So that first phone call is vital, because we want to know what you've tried already. We don't want to recreate the wheel. We want to kind of go into that assessment, and I want to go into that assessment with understanding of what I'm kind of looking for already with you to make sure you get the most out of that. So again, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope